Happy Wednesday to all the viewers that have tuned in today. Welcome to today's episode of Wednesdays with Pastor K. I'm so excited to spend the next few moments of my time with you. And I believe that today's episode is going to be powerful, it's going to be of your benefit. And I'm excited to see you that you have tuned in. Let us quickly see who has tuned in. I see Jekwiku Nupi is watching. Welcome, Jekwiku, to see you. We have Noktula Noki watching on Facebook as well. Welcome. Good to see you. We have RK Mulefe watching on Facebook. Welcome. Good to see you. We have my beautiful wife watching as well on Facebook. Welcome, family. So good to see you all, and I'm excited to spend the next few minutes with you. I'm happy to spend the next few minutes with you, and also I'm gonna ask you to please do the following for me. Please like the feed, share it, and comment, interact throughout the session, and also let's get our world into this room. We can only do that by tagging them in the comments and also sharing the feed so that our world can also come and join us in this room. Welcome, Dineo Khwadi. Dineo is watching on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys. I'm so excited to have you today. I just want us to quickly recap on last week's episode before we touch on what I have for you today. Last week we took some time to deliberate on the topic titled "Keep Your Circle Small." Keep your circle small, and I believe that many were impacted by that session, and they really loved it. That it is very important to keep your circle small, and we said that you cannot be friends with everybody. You cannot be friends with everybody. Everyone carries some form of energy with them, and therefore you have to be discerning when it comes to friendships. You cannot just have everybody become your friend. It is not good, it is dangerous, and also it is reckless if you have too many friends. And also, you don't need a million friends. You don't. Keeping your circle small will cause you to build meaningful relationships. It will cause you to build meaningful relationships. And that is why last week we got to make it clear that it's not about quantity, but it's about quality relationships. You must build quality relationships. That's all we need. We need quality relationships. It's not about quantity. Quantity will cause us to get lost in the process, and we will end up being toxic to each other, because if a group is big, a group is large, then it encourages gossip and it encourages betrayal, and we find ourselves, becoming frenemies instead of being friends. So always make sure that you keep your circle small. With a smaller circle, you can see clearly that quality outweighs quantity when it comes to friendships. And also, it's important to know your circle very well. We said last week that it is very important to know your circle very well. If you've got a group of friends that you are calling your circle, you must know them very well. Surround yourself with friends who have helped you grow. Surround yourself with friends who have helped you grow. And you need people who will help you carry the weight when the going gets tough. I'm sure we've all heard of the saying that says, when the days are dark, friends are few. Friends are few, It's because when everything is going well, we are surrounded by too many people, and we tend to make the mistake of thinking that everybody is for us or everybody is our friend. But wait until everything turns south. Then you will get to see people for who they really are and for what they really are. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Welcome. Mpoma Liban is watching on YouTube. Welcome. Good to see you. We have also Tumelo Mpo watching on YouTube. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. I have my dear friend, Pastor Lindsay Hawk, watching on Facebook. Welcome, my dear brother. Good to see you, man. He says, that's true, sir. And we have Bafana Chipangosi watching on Facebook. Welcome, Bafana. Good to see you. And we have Refile Tladi watching on Facebook. Welcome, Refile. Good to see you. So we really have to keep our circle small, because if we allow it to get too big, we'll get lost in the process, and we will end up becoming fake instead of becoming real and true. So it is very important that you keep it very small and never allow everybody into your holy of holies, which is your innermost parts of your heart, because that's how many people get to destroy themselves, by bringing everybody into the holy of holies. And I'm telling you, the moment you do that, then you put your life in danger, you put your heart in danger and at risk, because people can really misuse what they don't really care about, And at times we tend to make the mistake of thinking that everybody is for us. Yet at times we will discover that not everybody we thought was for us was really for us. So we've got to be very careful when it comes to relationships, and when it comes to friendships. We have to keep our circle small. We have to keep it small. Yeah. Welcome, Jerome. Good to see you. And we have okay, I thought I saw somebody else tuned in. Oh, yes, we've got Sisanda Galela watching on YouTube. Welcome, my dear sir. Good to see you. Awesome. Thank you, man of God. And we also got to mention that with a smaller circle, you will know that the people around you, are there because they genuinely want to be with you. If it's a smaller group, you will know. But if it's a bigger group, then you will not. It will be hard for you to decipher. If everybody there is for you, it will be very hard. But if you keep it small, you are able to assess each and every person that is in your group. Awesome. Let's move on to today's topic. And let's also welcome Khomotso KG watching on Facebook. Welcome, Khomotso. So good to see you. And we have also Tolani Makutulela watching on YouTube. Welcome, Tolani. Good to see you guys. So today I've got a very interesting topic titled Spend Your Life, Don't Waste It. Spend it, don't waste it. Spend your life, don't waste your life. And it came to me as a revelation today, actually yesterday, as I was busy preparing myself to go out to some meeting. And as I was busy listening to the voice of God, it hit me, that our lives are like why is this word escaping me now? I like a drink offering, and we are being poured into this world. We are being poured into this world by God, and by so doing, God is spending our lives. So He's allowing ourselves to spend everything that He has put inside of us. So it's like you've been loaded as a person. You have been loaded as a human being. You've been loaded with treasure. You have been loaded with so much, and God has sent you here on planet Earth to spend whatever He's given you. So we've got to spend ourselves. We've got to spend our lives and not to waste it. But the challenge is that part of the reason for this topic is that there are many people who waste their lives instead of spending their lives, waste their lives instead of spending what God has deposited inside of them. And that's my topic today. I want us to really zoom into that and dive deeper into that and delve into it and get to understand what it means to spend your life, because God has sent us here to really spend ourselves. We must spend ourselves. We must exhaust each and everything that God has put inside of us, because God has planted so much inside of us, and we've got to spend ourselves. You are a package that God has sent here on earth to make this world a better place. You are a package. Each and everyone watching me right now, just know that you are a package, and God has sent you to unwrap this package and spend what is inside of this package. That's what God has done using you and I. We are sent here to spend this package. And that package is made up of who God says you are to this world. Everything that is inside of you, it's who God says you are to this world. And it is made up of your talents. It is made up of your skill. It is made up of your gifts. This is the package that God has formed in you. You are a package yourself. You are a high priority package, and you are sent here on this earth to spend yourself. You must spend yourself, and we ought to benefit from this package as a human being, as human beings as well at large. We've got to experience you. We've got to experience this package that God wants you to spend, and you must pour this package unto us. And that's why each and every one of us is here on earth. We are here, and we all carry something different within ourselves. And the mistake that many do is that some really leave this earth without having opened that package, and they leave with this treasure. They leave with everything that God has deposited inside of them. And God today is saying to each and everybody watching that you've got to spend yourself that people may be impacted by what God has planted inside of you, that what God has deposited inside of you. You've got to spend it. Spend that gift. Spend that knowledge, spend that power, spend that talent, spend that skill that only you can offer. You must spend it so that we can benefit from that skill. And that package has what we call potential. That package, it has what we call potential. And there are many people who die without accessing their potential, man of God, Pastor Lindsay. They live without accessing this power. They live without accessing this potential, because not many people live to do exploits. Not many people live to really go out of their way to make sure that they fulfill what God has called them to do here on earth. And by so doing, we never get to unwrap this package. And each and every one of us is carrying the abnormal load. Let me say that again. Each and every one of us is carrying what we call the abnormal load. We are not normal. Nobody from God is a normal person. Nobody from God is normal. Each and every one of us carry so much inside of us, and we have to spend ourselves so that the world can get to experience us, so that tomorrow when people read about us, when people what's the word that I'm looking for, when people get to recollect of what we have done here on earth, they will say there was a man, there was a woman who once lived here on earth, and this man did so much, this woman did so much. That's what God is expecting of you and I. We all do it to his glory. We all do it to show his excellency inside of us. And we've got to spend our lives. We've got to spend our lives. Welcome, my dear Kaz. I see Tsepo Maliban is watching on Facebook. Welcome, Kaz. Good to see you, man. So this package has what we call potential, and it is all that God has deposited in us. It is given to you to spend. This package, it is given to you to spend, and not to sit and collect dust. There are many people who are a package that is just sitting and collecting dust. Why? Because they never really discover who they really are. The greatest tragedy here on earth is not discovering who God says you are. The greatest tragedy here on earth is not discovering who God says you are. It is a tragedy. It is a tragedy. A person who has discovered his purpose is a powerful somebody. A person who has discovered who God says they are is a force to be reckoned with. A person who has discovered whom God says they are is a person that cannot be stopped. And that is why you've got to make sure that you open this package and you spend everything that God has planted inside of you. Listen to this. Life is a service. Life is a service. And each and every one of us, we have come here to serve. We have come here to serve people with this package. We have come here to serve people with this gift that God has placed inside of us. And you've got to serve nations with this gift. And God has set you up on the center of this earth for you to spread this package, for you to spread this gift. And if you can serve people with this gift, there is no nation that God cannot open you up to. There is no nation that God cannot allow for it to experience you. For as long as you can serve people with this package or this gift, I'm telling you, God will launch you into nations. We know the word of God. The word of God teaches you and I that the gift, a man's gift makes room for him. A man's gift will make room for him. So if you exploit this gift, I'm telling you, there is no nation that God cannot open up for you to impact, because the moment you've discovered who you are, it is the moment you are ready to serve people with that gift. We have come to serve. We have come to serve. We need to make sure that we understand that. Life is not all about us. Life is about serving others. That's what life is all about. Jesus came to serve. Paul the Apostle came to serve. Each and everyone that you know in the Word of God, they came to serve. And we know about them today because they served people with their gift. And today you and I have been sent to serve people with what God has placed in this package called man, this package called a human being. Many people die without unwrapping this precious package from God, which is themselves. There are many people who die without unwrapping this package. And I'm telling you, it becomes a tragedy. Not all of us, or let me rather say, not many of us will unwrap this precious gift, which is ourselves, for the world to experience. Why? Because not all of us are hungry to discover who we are. We are all on assignment. That's what we have to get right. We are all on assignment. Each and every one of us, we are on assignment. And we have to speak like the Apostle Paul in the end and say, I have finished my course. Do you hear what I'm saying? We have to speak like the Apostle Paul and say, I have finished my course. When in the end, this man spoke emphatically, he spoke confidently. He said, I have finished my course. I have ran this race and I have finished my course. Why? Because he understood why he was here. He understood why he had to breathe. He understood that if each and every one of us can understand that there's a reason why we are breathing. We are breathing because we are a package, and we are breathing because God is expecting of us to spend ourselves so that the world can experience you and I. We have all been given wings to fly, but not all of us get to fly. Not all of us get to fly. For those of you who've just joined me, please quickly share the feed. Welcome, Tina Nyepao. Good to see you. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who've just tuned in and have not yet shared the feed, quickly share it so that your world can also come into this room. Look, I'm saying that we have all been given the wings to fly, but not all of us will fly. Not all of us will get to fly. Why? Because not many of us understand the potential that has been invested in all of us. God has invested so much in us. And that's why I said earlier, we are an abnormal load, and we have to come and allow people to experience us. And they can only experience us when we spend ourselves. We have to spend ourselves. You must spend your life. You must spend your life. In fact, the late Dr. Miles Monroe encourages us to die empty. He said we must die empty. And I'm sure we all know of the late, powerful Dr. Miles Monroe, a man who lived powerfully, a man who walked in his purpose that God has sent him to do and to fulfill here on earth. And he says, we must die empty. Why does it say we must die empty? It means that we all came here on earth carrying something from God, and we must spend ourselves before we check out. We must spend everything before we check out. There are many of us, we check out loaded. We check out with that abnormal load, and that's not pleasing to God. That's not exciting to God, because everything He sent you to deliver here on earth, you went back home with it, and it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, because I'm sure God will ask you, why now did you come back with everything that I sent you to deliver there on earth? Because we have been sent here as cargo. We are carrying so much within us, and it is for this world. It's not for heaven. It is for this world. It originates from heaven, but it is meant for this world. Now, many die full. Many die full. And by right, Dr. Miles Monroe says we must die empty. And you can be able to say, I have finished my course, meaning that I've done everything I've been sent to do. I did everything that God has sent me to do. Do you understand how powerful this is? This is very powerful. We are sent with this cargo to come and deliver here on earth what God expects of us to come and deliver here. And we must make sure that people benefit from us, from everything that God has sent us to spend here on earth. Listen to this. He said, the wealthiest spot on earth is the cemetery. Wow. That's hectic. That's hectic. He says the wealthiest spot on earth is the cemetery. It's the cemetery. Now, meaning that everybody, there are many people there lying in cemeteries today, and they went back home with riches. They went back home with knowledge. They went back home with wisdom. They went back home with ideas that were not tapped into. They went back home with the power that was never unleashed. He says that because in the cemetery are books that were never written. Imagine how many of us, I'm sure everybody watching me now, excuse me, I'm sure everybody watching me now, there's somebody that God has been speaking to you about writing a book, but you never get to write that book. Allow me to tell you that when you die with that book inside of you. You're not leaving this book here on earth. You are going back with that book. And God expects of you to spend that book. You must spend that book here on earth. It's not meant for heaven. It's meant for earth. It's meant for the world. So many of us go back with the books that were never written. And in the graves, there's music that no one will ever hear. Why? Because somebody who was meant to release that music and give it to us and feed us with that music, that person never had confidence to release that music. That person never had confidence to give us that music. That person never had confidence to help us experience that music. Why? Because they doubted themselves. They never believed in themselves. And as a result, they died with that music. And that music was never sung. The graveyard is filled with poetry that no one will ever read. Why? Because you did not write it. You did not write it. So we've got to release these things. We've got to release these things. Welcome, Mfupi. Good to see you, my leader. Good to see you, man. POM Mfupi is watching as well on Facebook. So we've got to release everything that God has sent us to release here on earth. In you, there's so much wisdom. In you, there's so much ideas. In you, there's so much books. In you, there's so much companies. In you, there's just so much. There's just so much. You must just, allow us, spend yourself and allow us to experience what God has deposited inside of you. There are businesses that will never open. Businesses that will never open. Why? Because somebody died with that business. God has given you, has planted inside of you a business that only you can bring to this planet Earth. But it never happened because a person that died, they died with that business. They died without exploring that idea. They kept on making excuses like, I don't have capital. They kept on making excuses like, I don't think I can do it. They kept on making excuses like, I don't think I qualify. If somebody can help me. No. Each and everything we will ever need is not outside of us. Let me repeat that. Each and everything that we will ever need is not outside of us. It is inside of us. It is inside of us. So provision is inside of you. The gift is inside of you. The skill, the prowess is inside of you. The power is inside of you. The knowledge is inside of you. The wisdom is inside of you. All you've got to do is to spend it. The moment you spend it, you attract resources, you attract knowledge. Actually, you attract provision when you spend it. But if you keep it inside, then I'm telling you, you will end up dying with it. You will end up dying with it. And he says there are ideas that will never come to fruition. Why? Because somebody was not confident enough to believe that those ideas will come to fruition. Dreams that will never be reality. Imagine dreams that will never be a reality. So it means that you were only limited to dreaming or seeing what you saw in your mind and in visions. That's all. But you never took advantage of those dreams and brought them to life. You never did that. Actually, you never believed in yourself. But God does not bring anybody here on planet Earth without a purpose. He does not send somebody here on earth without giving them something to give to this nation, to give to this world, to give to a people of God. In the grave, the graves are filled with great men who died as alcoholics. Imagine, there are great men who died as alcoholics. Every time God sends somebody here who carries something very powerful and unique, the enemy will make sure that he comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy that. And amongst the things that he can use is to give you the spirit of alcoholism, or he can give you anything that can divert you from maximizing on that gift. And it's a shame that some of us, we allow the enemy to do as he pleases with our lives, because you must remember, there is nothing that the devil can do to you without you allowing him. There's nothing. You have been given authority. We have been given authority over Satan and all his devices. We have been given authority over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt us. But we allow the enemy to have authority over. Actually, we give, or we relinquish our authority to the enemy, and the enemy ends up using our own authority against us because we give him more power. In the graves, there are awesome women, powerful women who died as prostitutes. Awesome women who died as prostitutes. Why? Because they believed it was the only way they can make income, or the only way for them to survive, which was a lie. It was a lie from a pit of hell. You may find that those who died as prostitutes, you never know. Some of them were mayors. Some of them were members of parliament. Some of them were politicians. Some of them were professionals. Some of them were doctors. Some of them were lawyers. Some of them were pastors. Some of them were prophets. Some of them were evangelists. Some of them were artists. Some of them were musicians. Some of them were actors and actresses, but they never believed that they can make it. They never believed that they can make it. Why? Because the enemy is the master at stealing and destroying people's identities. You must not allow the enemy to take take away from you what God has planted inside of you. You've got to spend everything that God has deposited inside of you. Yeah. There are great men in the graves who died as drug addicts. They died as drug addicts. Now, these people were struggling with addictions and all those things simply because they let go of their authority. They let go of their authority. And as a result, they went back with that cargo that God gave to them. That very cargo, massive cargo, that was enough to impact the entire world, to impact the entire globe. Let me make an example here. Let's say a brand name like Michael Jackson. Imagine what that man did to this world. That was impact. Now, Michael Jackson was a definition of impact. He was a definition of impact. Everywhere this man went, whatever place he used, it was filled to capacity. It was filled to capacity. Why? Because this man understood who he was. He maximized on his potential. He maximized on everything that God has deposited inside of him. He spent himself. I'll say it again. Michael Jackson spent himself. Let me come up with another icon. Nelson Mandela. That man spent himself. He spent himself. That's why God actually allowed him to live very long, because he spent a quarter of his life in prison. And God allowed him to spend himself. He gave him more time to spend himself because there was so much inside of him. You must remember, if you are in the right path, or you are in the will of God, and you have not yet spent yourself, God will give you more years, because he knows that you are in his will. He knows that you are in his will, you will spend yourself. Unlike if anyway you are lost and there is no way you want to find your path. Why do you need more years? Why do you need more years? He went further to say, Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, die empty. Die empty. Die empty represents using all the potential that is inside of us before we die. Before we die. Maximizing the potential in us before we die. You must impact this world before you die. It's not the will of God that our obituary will only say, born 1968, died 2024. There's nothing in between. It's not the will of God. The will of God is that when we read your obituary, we are reading the book. We are reading the book of somebody who spent himself, somebody who spent themselves. That's how we ought to live. That's what God has sent us to do. Right? Yeah. Let's try and read some of the comments here. Refile Clady says, echoing what you always say, Pastor K, die empty and exalt what God has placed inside of you. Yeah, for as long as you live. Absolutely, absolutely. We've got to be very intentional when it comes to the gift of life. We are not here to fill up this earth. We are here to impact this earth, and then we go back home. Excuse me. RK Mulefe says, that's painful. That's painful truth, men of God. Yeah, absolutely, women of God. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. So we've got to be very intentional, fellows. We've got to spend ourselves. There's so much inside of us. We are loaded. We are loaded with so much. And we've got to make sure that we don't go back home with what God has planted inside of us. We have to be really intentional. We've got to be super intentional, actually, in order for us to know when we go back that we have served this world, with our purpose, we have served this world with our gifts. We have to be very intentional. Dr. Mars put it this way. He said, don't die old, die empty. I like that. Don't die old, die empty. The thing is, there are many people who still die old, but they were still full. Do you get what I'm saying? They died old, but they were still full, meaning that they never discovered their purpose. They lived long, but they never discovered their purpose. It's a waste. Spend yourself. Don't waste yourself. Spend it. Spend you. It's not really about dying at an old age, but rather die having accomplished what God created you for. I mean, like I said, you can die at 90, full, having nothing to evidently show for what you have done to bring to life and change with regards to your God-given assignment. It's possible. There are many people who have died full. There are many people. To get the most out of this life, we need to live with daily knowledge that we have an expiration date. I want us all to understand that. I know that you know it, but I just want to emphasize it, that we all have an expiration date. We have an expiration date. And if there's one thing that many people don't realize, is that every day you spend, it is a day taken out of the time you have left here on earth. So tomorrow when we wake up and we say it's another day, you know that you have subtracted some of the days from your purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm sure I'm putting it in a very simple manner. But we've got to understand that each and every single day, we are spending our lives. We are spending our time. We are all given a certain time. We are allocated certain time here on earth. And every single day, we spend from that time. We spend ourselves. There are many people who live like they are remaining full. No. Every single day, if you're not maximizing on it, it's a day lost. So that is why I'm saying, make sure you spend yourself by living that purpose. And tomorrow, you will know that, you know what? You've done everything you could. You've fought a good fight of faith. You have ran this race. You have finished the course. Why? Because you know you've lived best or to the best of your ability. Every minute we breathe, our time on earth decreases. Right now, I'm breathing in and out. You are breathing in and out. And every time you do that, your time here on earth decreases because you are breathing. So I'm not sure how many drops, if I may put it that way, drops of breath that you and I have been sent to give here on earth. But every time you breathe out and breathe in, it's the breath you will never get back. You have spent it. Am I speaking to somebody? Is somebody enjoying this? Every time you breathe in and out, the breath that you've breathed out is the breath you'll never get back. You've spent it. So make sure that you spend it living your purpose. Make sure that you spend it living that which God has sent you to live, impacting this world. Do you get what I'm saying? Never waste your life. Never waste your breath. Never waste every minute. Never waste yourself. Spend yourself. Spend yourself. Every day of your life is an opportunity to pour into this generation. Every day of your life is an opportunity to pour into this generation. Every day of your life. So when you wake up, you are given another opportunity to pour into this generation. Every time you wake up, you are given an opportunity to pour into this generation. The Apostle Paul says, I have been poured out like a drink offering. We have been poured out like a drink offering. He says, there is nothing left. Wow. Wow. You see, God used very powerful men. I mean, this man speaks confidently. He says, I've been poured out like a drink offering. He says, there is nothing left. Meaning that I've done everything I came to do here on earth. Not only Paul. Let me take you to Jesus. Jesus on the cross, when he was about to breathe his last breath, he said, it is finished. He said, it is finished, meaning that everything you've sent me to spend here on earth, Father, I have spent it. I have spent myself. And because I am spent, he says, it is finished. I am spent. It is finished. So can each and every one of us be that confident right now? Everyone on this feed, can we all be that confident to say, when God says, come back home, can we all be that confident to say it is finished? Because many of us, we shiver when we think of that idea of saying, you know what, it's time to go back home. We shiver. Why? Because we don't feel like we are prepared. We don't feel like we are ready to go back home. Why? Because we feel like we have not done anything yet. We must pour ourselves like a drink offering, so that in the end, we have nothing left. We have nothing left. Welcome, Matau. Good to see you. Good to see you, Tau. So everyone who's just tuned in, please share the feed. Share the feed so that people that follow you can also tune in and spend time with us. Let them come into this room. So guys, you and I, we have been sent with a load from heaven to come and deliver it here on earth for people to benefit from. There is nothing left, he says. And then he says, listen to this. He says, I am ready to die. Wow. Wow. People of God, you and I still have a long way to go. And we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to do. Until you and I can get to that place in our lives where we can say, I have been poured out like a drink offering, and there is nothing left. And then here's the catch. I am ready to die. Until we get there, we have not done anything. We have not done anything. He says, I am ready to die. Yeah. We are not talking about somebody who's committing suicide here. We are not talking about somebody who's taking their own life. We are talking about somebody who says, I've done everything that God sent me to do. I've maximized. I've done exploits. I've preached the gospel to all nations. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. I've saved so many people as an attorney, as an advocate, as a lawyer. I've saved so many lives. Today, I feel I'm very old and I have spent my life. How many of us will get to that place? We must pray. We must pray that God reveals our gift to us and we spend that gift. We spend it to zero until we are left with nothing. Then we will utter those words and say, I am ready to die. I am ready to die. Many waste their lives. Many waste their lives watching TV all day. It's a waste. It's a waste. There's nothing wrong with watching your favorite program. But there's everything wrong with watching your favorite programs the whole day. When is yours coming? When is yours coming? When are you going to produce yours? If you're spending the entire day watching people work, mind you, everyone you watch on television is at work. Everyone you watch. People that we see on television are people who are on the move. Let me say that again. People who are on television are people who are on the move. You can't be spending the entire day, all day, watching people who are on the move. They are doing their work. When are you doing your work? So many people, they waste their lives watching TV, and they do it daily. They do it daily. They've got nothing to show for their lives. They've had no impact here on earth, and they watch TV the whole day. We are watching people work. We are watching people on the move. Many people waste their lives on addictions, drugs. There are people who spend their lives just sniffing on drugs. Drugs. Everything they get, they spend it on drugs. They are wasting their lives. They are wasting their gift. They are not spending their lives. They are wasting their lives. We have people who have spent huge amounts of their lives drinking alcohol. And as a result, every single day, they wake up, they drink. They spend time drinking. All they do is just drink. All they do is just drink. They are wasting their lives. They are not spending their lives. They are wasting their lives. They are not spending their lives. Yeah. Let's see what Bafana Nkosi says. Bafana Nkosi says, I'm not ready to die. I'm still loaded. Come on. So there is no saying on earth. There is no saving on earth. Either we lose or we sow. Absolutely. This calls for deep introspection. This calls for deep introspection. Yeah. Yes, that's right, my good sir. That's right. That's right. Yeah, hard truth. My wife, hard truth. Hard truth. And Bafana Nkosi goes further to say, one of the greatest distractions is wondering what others will say. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got to be very intentional, people of God, when it comes to this gift of life. We have to maximize, and we have to make sure that we live and lead a life of impact. There are many people who waste their lives on collecting girlfriends. There are many. There are many. All they do is just collect girlfriends, and they will go to every length. They will go on social media. All they do is just to spend time in people's inboxes, just hitting on any lady. They're just wasting their life. They are wasting their lives by collecting girlfriends. Instead of collecting degrees, instead of collecting accolades, instead of collecting honorary degrees and all that, and instead of collecting honor, what they do is that they collect girlfriends. And by so doing, they are not spending their lives, they are wasting their lives. We have people who waste their lives by collecting boyfriends. We've got them. We've got them. People have made this thing a hobby. They've made it their lives, and they feel the best thing that they can ever do is to move from one man to the next, move from one guy to the next all the time. And they never seem to settle down. And as a result, they are wasting their lives. They are wasting their lives. These are trivial diversions. They are diverting our focus. The enemy, or let me put it this way, wherever there is a vacuum in a person's life, the enemy will find something to fill it with. And If you find somebody living like this, somebody living recklessly, somebody living a promiscuous life, it's because they are void of purpose. They did not discover their purpose. And therefore, there's a vacuum. And wherever the enemy can spot a vacuum, the enemy will fill it with something that glorifies him. And that's what I'm talking about now. You will end up chasing girlfriends, you will end up chasing boyfriends. And we waste our lives living for comfort and pleasure. Living for comfort and pleasure. And we live unaware of our full God-given potential. Life is about making a real, profound difference. That's what life is all about. It's all about making a real, profound difference. Let me close with the keys to spending your life. The keys to spending your life. Remember, our topic is spend your life, don't waste it. Spend your life, don't waste it. Let me give you the keys to spending your life. Number one, access your potential. If you want to spend your life, make sure that you will access the potential that God has placed inside of you. Access your potential. It's all inside of you. Number two, go after your dreams. Go after your dreams. Be a kind of a person that will never rest until all your dreams have come to pass. Go after your dreams. Number three, deploy exceptional self-discipline. Deploy exceptional self-discipline. Many of us, we never make it in life because we lack in this area. We lack self-discipline. And that is why we fall and we never make it to the top. But if you can deploy exceptional self-discipline, I'm telling you, you are a force to be reckoned with. A person who's disciplined is a person that will always do exploits. Number four, make the right choices in life. Make the right choices in life. That's number four. Make the right choices in life if you want to spend your life. Because many people have lost their way today because of the wrong decisions they have made. They've made wrong choices. But if you want to have impact, make right choices in life. Number five, be intentional about the gift of life. If you want to live up to your potential, be intentional. There are many people who live for the sake of living, but there are those who are the remnant. These are the people who will be intentional about the gift of life. And these people, they will live up to their potential. Lastly, run your race. Run your race. Don't waste your race. Run your race. Don't waste your race. There are many people who waste their race. You must run your race and don't waste it. And never live your life based on other people's opinions about your life. Run your own race. Here's the thing. Each and every one of us, we have our own race to run. And none of our races are the same. None. None of our races are the same. That is why you must never make the mistake of comparing yourself with anyone. Never. Never. Your biggest competition is the person that you see on the mirror. Let me say that again. Your biggest competition is the person, that person that you see every time you look in the mirror. That's your biggest competition. Nobody else is your competition. Never compete with anybody. Never. Never. The greatest person you need to compete with is you. It is yourself. And stick to your race. Run your race. Don't waste your race. Let me close with this. The life of impact is the life that will disappoint the devil and the graveyard. Let me say that again. The life of impact is the life that will disappoint the devil and the graveyard. There are not many people who disappoint the devil and disappoint the graveyard. There are not many people like that. Many people, they excite the devil and they benefit the graveyard. But we need to disappoint the devil and the graveyard, meaning that the enemy will have nothing in you. Jesus puts it that way. He says, behold, Satan is the ruler of this world, but he has nothing in me. He has nothing in me. And when he died, now we are talking about the grave. He said, it is finished. So what did he do? He disappointed the devil and he disappointed the grave. So you and I must live up to that. We must disappoint the devil, meaning that we won't allow the enemy to steal that package that God has given to us and deposited in us. And the grave will never receive us as loaded people. The grave will receive us as empty people. He would receive us as people who have spent themselves. Thank you for tuning in, people of God. I thank you so much for spending time with us. Pastor Lindsay, thank you so much, my dear friend. Thank you so much, my brother. It was really nice spending time with you. And for those of you who have not yet shared the feed, I'm going to quickly ask you again, please share this feed so that people that follow you can also feed from today's wisdom. And we believe that many will benefit from this knowledge that was flowing in today's feed. And thank you for tuning in. Before you go, I want to show you my book. If you have not yet invested in this resource, it is The Call of God, the book that I wrote back in 2020. It is a powerful book. And if you don't know your purpose here on earth, this is the book that you ought to read. You will get to understand that each and every person here on earth has been called by God. And that is why we are all here on earth. Now, from everyone watching, from me to you, God bless you. I'll see you next week, same place, same time. God bless.